everybody, this is Vince Miller. Thank you so much for joining me for this devotional. We're in Acts chapter 16. I'm going to be reading verses 35 through 40. If you remember yesterday, Paul and Silas have been thrown in prison and beaten. Here's where we go next. But when it was day, the magistrates sent the police saying, "Let those men go." And the jailer reported these words to Paul saying, "The magistrates have sent to let you go. Therefore, come out and go in peace." But Paul said to them, "They have beaten us publicly, uncondemned men who are Roman citizens, and have thrown us into prison. And do they now throw us out secretly? No, let them come themselves and take us out." The police reported these words to the magistrates, and they were afraid when they heard that they were Roman citizens. So they came and apologized to them. And they took them out and asked them to leave the city. So they went out of the prison and visited Lydia. And when they had seen the brothers, they encouraged them and departed. So this had to be a very concerning and embarrassing moment for these civil authorities and police here in Philippi. You see, they had rushed to judgment by the persuasion of a couple of vindictive people, and now it's going to come back to bite them in the butt, especially when they discovered that these two men that they've rushed to judge and beat and imprison are actually Roman citizens. You see, Paul was a Roman citizen by birth, but because he was Jewish, they wrongly assumed that he was not also a Roman. And Roman citizenship came with certain rights. One of them was a right to a fair trial, which didn't happen in this instance. And why Paul held on to this information until now is really a mystery. But it wasn't a delightful discovery for the Roman civil authorities and police. And they do offer an apology and encourage them, of course, to leave the city. Now, one lesson we could take away from this occurrence is this, is that there's going to be some moment in our life that we're going to suffer injustice at the hands of vindictive people who protect themselves by actually slandering us. And we may end up taking a beating because of their lies. But as godly men, we have a responsibility to continue to act with godly integrity through the unfair allegations and the beating. And the beating we endure may end up scarring us. I'm sure that Paul was left with a few physical and emotional scars forever, literally forever. But when a godly man continues to persevere in godliness, even when treated unjustly, God will vindicate him, now or in eternity. Now, this does not mean the process isn't terrifying or troubling or harmful or hurtful, but this process does bring a man a little closer to something spectacular, something unique. The unjust suffering endured by Jesus on Calvary's cross. Just listen to what Paul says to the Philippians a little later when he writes a letter to them from a Roman prison. There is no doubt that he remembered this Roman beating, as did the disciples in Philippi. Here's what he says. He says, "Indeed, I count everything as a loss because of the surpassing worth of knowing Jesus Christ my Lord. For his sake I have suffered the loss of all things and count them as rubbish in order that I might gain Christ and be found in him, not having a righteousness of my own that comes from the law, but that which comes through faith in Christ, the righteousness from God that depends on faith, that I may know him and the power of his resurrection and may share in his sufferings, becoming like him in his death, that by any means possible I might attain resurrection from the dead." Wow. A lesson learned, right? Today, do one of two things for me. First, either recall a moment you suffered injustice and what you would have done differently. And if you're brave, share that lesson and what you would have done differently in the comments below. Second, if you're going through that season right now, literally right now at this moment, share it with the Lord and ask him to give you godly perseverance. I know this is never easy, but choose godliness and not your own vindication. Let God vindicate you. He's better at it anyway. Love you guys. Have a blessed day. Share this devotional with someone you know who may be suffering today unfairly and unjustly. And I'll see you right back here again tomorrow.